Fellas, Tony Khan is an AEW booking black excellence. Now, we saw what happened at the last press conference with Triple H, where they asked him about how he was booking his black stars in WWE, and he said, I don't see color. Oh, boy. That is
Kenny, hold up. I believe that it was a in the game. I don't see color. In the game.
Thanks, Big
Continue.
O. Yes, but Triple H said, I do not see color. You know what? We book based on who we got, and that's what we're doing out here. And the internet went crazy on him because this is something Cody Rhodes pointed out before when he talked about his conversation with Brandy Rhodes. And he told her, I don't see color, and she had to cook him for it. But Triple H said the same thing, didn't turn out too well for him. Now, since then, I've seen they pulled 2 black women up from NXT, and it looks like they're trying to do something with them. So big shouts out to them. But one person who did not have to go through this whole arc trajectory in their career to get hit with booking black wrestlers the right way is Tony Khan, because less than 5 years we had our first AEW champion, and who was a black man. Now we take a look at what Shelton Benjamin is doing in AEW. Last week, as we're recording this video, he had this match with who was it? Leo Rush, another black guy who just went in there and they ate up that wrestling match. 5 stars, I would give it. I was shocked because I did not see Shelton Benjamin work like this for a long time. We got guys like Will Hobbs in the reins. Reportedly, there's some big plans for him. Look at what's going on with Willow Nightingale. I mean, even though she doesn't win, I think she's booked very well for who she is and what she does. Mercedes Moné, black champion, fellas. People talk about black wrestlers or diversity in wrestling. I think Tony Khan is doing a very good job at nailing this. What do y'all think? And we're not going to mention Konosuke Takeshita just winning the international championship, whichever one that was. Big win for him, and I think he deserved it as well. So what do y'all think about this diversity in wrestling and how these stars are being booked in these companies?
I'll say this. AEW's come a long way, because one of the big criticisms a couple of years ago, like there was this big there's this bit of a controversy with Tony Khan when he like kind of singled out a Big Swole in a tweet that came across very egregiously online, and it started a meaningful conversation about representation in pro wrestling, and I think Tony's kind of taken that to heart over the last couple of years, and we've seen the development into not only highlighting, like people of all backgrounds, but like especially uplifting, black wrestlers, people like Swerve, people like Willow, and getting it to a point where, and I think like this is like a crucial thing, right? There's some times where this is done where it's literally like, oh, to show, it's like a PR stunt, like almost, right?
Tinder.
And it's kind of like virtue signaling. But I think like Tony AEW has been able to, make it come across and do it in a way where it's like genuinely highlighting some awesome talent, where it is like an uplifting factor, obviously, for like those communities that like they're black champions and black wrestlers succeeding. But like at the end of the day, it's like, oh my god, like these are just like really cool wrestlers, like doing awesome stuff. Like Swerve is like that man like worked his butt off to get to where he is. And I think he like on that Breakfast Club interview, Kenny and Brian, he said something like interesting where he was like, like Tony Khan didn't hand me nothing. He just gave me the opportunity. And I took that and I ran with it. And I think like that is a ringing endorsement in many ways of like kind of the system that's been set up. It ain't perfect. There's some places where I would do a little bit of some different things different, but I do think like given where they were a couple of years ago when a lot of these conversations and the controversy started, where they are now, it's like a bit of night and day.
Brian?
I agree. Man, I mean, I got really nothing to say there, bro. I mean,
What's going on in the E, man?
I
What's
think,
going on in the E?
I think,
What's going
I
on in
think,
WWE?
I think Omar hit it at a pretty well, like, at a point, bro. I mean, I feel like black talent is booked well in AEW. There was a point where it was on that slope, but I mean, hey, bro. I mean, you can name a few off the top of your head right now that are doing pretty well, and they're being booked in pretty high places. And I think Swerve is the perfect example of that, bro. They didn't wait 20 years to or it might be more than that, honestly, 40, 50 years, but to put a championship on a black wrestler, they did it in 5 years. So I mean, you just see that there is just stuff there. I don't think 5 years should have been however long, just like I think 50 years shouldn't be however long till a black talent gets the title put on them. So that's just my 2 cents, but I feel like it irks me a little bit, right? When conversations like this are a thing, like, oh, um, this black wrestler finally got the title put on him on the company first time. Like, it just sucks that we're still in a day and age where we still have to talk about first black wrestler did this, first black wrestler did that, or first black person did this. Like, bro, I would just like it to be just as normal as it should be.
In a
You know what I
perfect world.
mean? Like, it's just it should be normal, bro. We shouldn't be celebrating, oh, this black wrestler got this 6 years later or 50 years later in WWE's case. Like I said, I'm not cutting WWE any slack in this video, but we are talking about AEW. It's just one of those things, bro, where it should just be normal. And that's just the way I feel about it. And that's the way I will always feel about it. Again, it's a big accomplishment. But I think when it comes down to wrestling and booking black talent, and this goes within any sport, to be honest, because it happens a lot in a lot of sports. Oh, this first black athlete to do this. Just want to see it be normal. That's all.
Yeah, right. And it goes back to what Big Om said about when Swerve said it was the opportunities. It's just all about getting those opportunities because Vince, I mean, back in the day, he had some black guys in there who could have been a WWE champion. I mean, Booker T should have had a WWE championship run. And people will say he had a world championship run. That's not the WWE championship. That's not the big championship. So, I mean, guys like Booker T, I mean, I think Ahman Johnson wasn't the greatest wrestler, but he was a spectacle. I think Vince McMahon could have definitely protected him and put the strap on him. Give me one more. Big
Farouk,
Vince.
man.
Yeah, Farouk. Well, he had the WCW championship, right?
I mean, he did win the
Damn.
WCW title, but
Damn.
yeah, but no, Farouk was there. I mean, there's a lot of guys you could say. I think one thing is kind of good, like, and like Triple H is like wild answer to that question. By the way, WWE media train that man, please. That man needs that man needs help. Somebody talk to that man. But I think like the thing that's like kind of cool about like the way that AEW, or at least the conversations about AEW and like the uplifting of like not just black talent but like all talent of color or different
All
backgrounds
talent,
is
yeah.
like Brian, it kind of is like, I'm not gonna say a secondary conversation, but it's not like the main thing driving it, right? It's like, oh my god, you see Swerve win it, like that was cool, that was great. He's got this awesome cool move set, and then like there's like people who like obviously it resonates with, like a lot of like uh you know like a lot of people, like black people that it resonates with, who are like, yeah man, and it's just like that, like extra, like it's like that extra, like kind of uplifting motivating factor, whatever it is, that you know he happens to be like carrying the banner as the first black AEW world champion. Like that is, and I think like that, you're right, like that's how the conversations like should be framed for the people who it uplifts. It should be uplifting and it should be allowed to be, but it also shouldn't be like patronizing and it's like, oh, we're doing this because it's gonna be a history, like like
Yeah.
like we were doing in the Vince McMahon era. But I hope WWE can get to a point where like that's not it. I think one of the things that's holding them back, honestly, is like, I think in WWE things are kind of like, it's a business, man, and it is a corporate business.
Yeah.
One of the things they care about most in their marketing is like demographics. And I think like that's part of the reason, at least from my viewing, like why like you kind of see like, okay, we're gonna have like LWO kind of doing their own thing. Like we're gonna have like, these specific people together. And like it's kind of like seemed like they're just kind of lumping in people like together, which I don't inherently find bad, because like, like that's fine. That's all well and good. They like, some people fit together, but like sometimes it feels forced. And I think that's a big problem in WWE. A lot of times, like that meshing kind of feels like, are you doing this because like, oh, this is meaningful to the story? Or are you doing this because we gotta get them together, pal?
Yeah. But I think it's a big thing and it's not normal just because of what we see in other sports. Like, I can't tell you who was the first black UFC light heavyweight champion because it's normal. I can't tell you who's the black UFC heavyweight champion because it's normal. First black person to be on a Super Bowl team that won, it's normal. But in wrestling, where it's scripted, and as a black man, I'm watching wrestling, why are there no black champions? Why have there been no black champions? That's why it's so important, because it took WWE so long to do it. I mean, shout out to The Rock. We don't give him his credit, but he is a black man. But it took so long for WWE to do it. But then we look at AEW and they did it in 5 years. So it does mean something. But fellas, before we get out of here, the last question I want to ask y'all. is it possible for Shelton Benjamin to become an AEW World Champion?
Hell no. Hell no.
That would be a hell of a story. It would have to be a hell of a
Hell of a
Hell
story.
story,
no.
man.
Hell
Come
no.
on, man.
It's just hard for me to believe at this point in his career. That's all.
Why? He said he still wants to be a champion, y'all.
I mean,
he said that
yeah.
today, in fact.
And he will be
International
like
or
a
the
TNT champion.
Yeah,
Gotta
give him
give
that
man a
joint.
TNT belt.
Not,
But
not
listen,
he's
if they
not
book
no
him the
world
right way,
championship.
if they book him the right way and he's cooking, I think it could happen.
It's
I like the way
possible.
he's being portrayed right now as like the bodyguard. Like, yo, you're not gonna talk,
Bro, you know damn well, bro, this guy's gonna take a back seat in a couple months when Bobby Lashley debuts.
Couple weeks.
What I was thinking was, what if he doesn't? What if he's the front man they're pushing instead of Bobby Lashley? I think that's the way they
tripping, bro.
Come on, Shelton Benjamin was
Bobby
right next
Lashley
to
just
Brock
left
Lesnar
WWE
now.
because he didn't like the way
Bobby
he was being
Lashley is
booked.
signed, by the way. He is like signed.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
AEW.
he is
Yeah,
signed.
for sure. But I'm thinking
That'd be
Bobby
wild.
Lashley should be like the heater man in the back. Shelton Benjamin should be the one in the front to finally
Brian,
get his
what?
Bobby
Yeah, that'd
just-
be wild.
Bobby
Bobby
just
Lashley
left.
just sitting there like the
Bobby just left WWE, bro, because he didn't like the way he was being booked. You think he's gonna go play somebody's bodyguard in another company?
I mean, he could always get the championship later. He doesn't need it right now. Look
So
how
what
long
they're
it
gonna
took
do?
him
They're
to get
gonna
the
they're gonna
championship.
make Mercedes Moné and Camille in the men's division.
No,
that's-
he's part of the Hurt Business
Syndicate.
syndicate, whatever you want to call him. But I think Shelton Benjamin is a better wrestler than Bobby Lashley. So,
Hey man, I'll say it. There's always a story. There's a will, there's a way. But let us know what you guys think in the comment section. Be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and most importantly, kiss that